Hi, I'm Randy Robison. I am talking to the author of The Beauty of Broken. Elisa Morgan is back with us. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Now, the front of the book said there's no such thing as a perfect family. And I got to tell you, I'm trying real hard raising 4 kids and with my beautiful wife to have a perfect family. What's going on?
Yeah, I know, I hate to break it to you, but here's the thing. I come from a broken family. My parents were divorced, and then my mom struggled with alcohol, so my original family was broken. And as a very young child, after I came to know Jesus, I really determined in my heart that I was going to build a perfect second family. And my husband and I never let the word divorce enter our vocabulary, and we knew we couldn't have children biologically, so we adopted our kids.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
That's always a bad. I'm adopted.
I
Did you know I'm
I
adopted?
know you are. Well, I'm going in here.
That's a joke.
And you know, it was joy. And I would really say that those first 10 years of family life were idyllic. They were fabulous. But around the time my daughter was 16, 17, she got pregnant. And that long process was one that drove me straight to my knees. And I felt like my second family was falling and breaking, just like my first one had. She finally determined to relinquish that child in adoption. So we were then sandwiched with adopted children and then knowing what it was like to relinquish. And God beautifully, but very difficultly, showed me my own sin of pride, you know, that I thought I could make a perfect family like we want to. And he was like, sweet pea, you're broken. And you need to understand that. All I want to do is love you through it. My son started struggling with addiction. I could go on and on with issues of, we've had some arrests in our family. We've had some homosexuality in our family, extended a little bit. We've had loss of other children. We've had learning disabilities and cancer and death.
You're not supposed to talk about these
This
things
is not
as
happy,
a
is
Christian
it?
writer or in the church. I mean, you know, we want to see the good,
Well,
right?
we think that when we follow God, that we can then control the results of our efforts. And, you know, all during this time, I was also the CEO of MOPS International, Mothers of Preschoolers. And there I am supposed to be Mother Teresa, you know, I'm Mother Elisa. And it's a hard season, but you're right, we don't want to talk about it. We think everybody else has those problems. And God has allowed many of these issues to hit my family.
There's nothing wrong with wanting a perfect family, though, right? I mean,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
We want our children to not go through the things that your children have gone through. And
But
so,
the reality is we throw ourselves over the potholes in their path and they shove us out of the way and dive down them half the time. And no, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting it. What is true so often, though, is that abnormal is normal and that mistakes they happen. And we can't control our children's choices, but we can control our responses to their choices. And it's not the end of life when these situations occur. God can use them beautifully and redeem them.
The broken.
The broken. There's beauty in the broken.
What is the beauty?
For me, I actually came up with 12, I call them broken family values. They push me away from the perfect and instead embrace God's story in our stories. Things like commitment, knowing that I am the mother that is perfectly suited for my daughter and my son's needs. That God doesn't make mistakes when he pairs parents and children. That's commitment. Or courage, that there's no off-ramp in parenting, that even though they veer onto the shoulders here and there, I as the parent stay on the road. I stay. Or reality, facing the reality that my kid's going through a hard time and sticking my head in the ground and pretending like they're not because of what other people are going to say. It's not helpful.
No, it's not.
A relinquishment. Understanding that God loves that child more than I can ever dream. On and on. These 12 values, forgiveness and thankfulness, love and respect, knowing that it's never too late on relationships.
You know, I think one of those you touched on it is huge because it's easy to almost idolize our own children in the sense that we shape everything around them. And then when something does go wrong, we go, God, don't you understand that I poured my life into this because I love them? And it's almost an insult because I think if you can hear God, he's saying, you think I don't love them even more than you do.
Exactly. exactly. There's some beautiful stories. They're in Luke 7 and Luke 9, I believe, where first a mother is bringing her son to Jesus, and the other one is where a father is bringing her son. One has a demon, and one is dead, I believe, and they're just distraught at this child, this son, this child. And Jesus says very clearly, bring him to me. Bring him to me. And that's what many times I would be led to do. I remember another time sitting in church, and my kids were far away doing whatever, and I looked down, there was a little toddler sitting next to me with his mom, and I was looking at his feet swinging and wiggling, and we were studying Nathaniel and how Jesus could see Nathaniel. He had seen him from a distance, far away. In other words, he had that omniscient understanding, that omnipresence that God had, because he wasn't currently present with him. And it was like God was whispering to my heart, do you see those little shoes? Because I was thinking, I don't know where my son's feet are swinging. He was an adult. And God reminded me that he knew. He could see Nathaniel where he was, and so he knew where my son was as well. Bringing that child to Jesus over and over again and relinquishing our control over their choices, knowing that that's not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to stay and to love them no matter what, and be clear. I mean, there's a time for tough love, but to love them.
You're not suggesting tolerate all manner of sin.
No, I'm not, but I am suggesting embracing who they are, mess and all. When my daughter one day entered a wonderful reception room where we were hosting a fundraiser, and I thought she looked so beautifully put together. She was in her, well, I think she was 19 or 20 by then. And I took in her outfit, just kind of scaled up and down, and I went, wait a minute, there was a new accessory there. And I followed a tattoo that was tendriling up her leg. And I'm like, I had never seen that before. And you know what, I didn't want to speak that language of tattoos. And I didn't want to take the Rosetta Stone course on it. No, thank you. Didn't want to go there. And yet, you know, God began to woo me into, this is my daughter. What the outward appearance looked like is not her heart. And I know this is a touchy subject. Believe me.
Oh, I do too. I've got a 19-year-old that surprised us when she came home from college.
And for parents to go, this isn't the end of the universe, and I watch God shaping her and molding her. I wrote an essay near the end of the book. If I knew now, or if I knew then what I know now, would I have had kids? Let's just be honest, because it's so challenging. And I would absolutely say yes.
Yeah.
I love them, I adore them. But what I see is that God has used them to shape me as much as he's used me to shape them.
Yeah.
And he isn't through yet. Even my daughter doesn't like it when I begin to preach and tie things together. She's like, Mom, don't tie it all up in a bow. She knows God isn't done yet, and he isn't, and we need to be comfortable with the process of sanctification.
Yep, and even when it breaks you, right?
Even when it breaks you, because there's beauty in
there
the
it is.
broken.
Beauty in the Broken. Check out the book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. What's your website for people that want to follow you a little closer?
ElisaMorgan.com, ELISA.
Great. Check it out, and be sure to check out Elisa when she's on Live Today at lifetoday.org. I appreciate your honesty and your openness and taking the time to share with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Randy.